Is there anybody that wants Tommy Rees over Jim Schwartz?
Not I.
Tell me why, though. Tell me why.
Well, my thing with Rees...
None of us feels really great about Tommy Rees, right? None of us? Is it just, if he were in any other team, if he were on another bad team, if he were the Jets OC...
Nobody would want him.
Boy, that's a bad example.
Well, it'd be like, honestly, and he didn't call the plays in Cincinnati, but this Dan Pitcher... I mean, Dan Pitcher is...
That was pretty decent offense, though.
Yeah, doesn't call the plays, and then they underperformed, and they missed the playoffs. You just saw them lose to the Cleveland Browns in Week 18 with healthy quarterback, healthy wide receivers.
Both of them.
So
had Noah Fan as well.
But the funny thing is, like,
Mike Gesicki.
We don't know what these guys... Like, Tommy Rees, everybody vouches for him. Obviously, Nick Saban. But everybody who's been around him are like, no, he's going to be a leader. He's going to be a head coach. You know, so obviously these are, would I have been sitting here going, I want Sean McVay, when he first started? No, obviously I wouldn't have. So in the end, I will defer to the football guys on this thing. If they're around him every single day and they're like, he is, Anthony, you don't understand, like his motivation, his leadership stuff. He's just not the head coach here, so he couldn't really do all that stuff. I just know this. I put a graph up, earlier in the week, one of my nifty charts. The offense did not get better once Tommy Rees took over the play calling. That doesn't mean that he doesn't know how to call plays. I mean, look what he was working with. They had the worst quarterback play in the NFL, or some of the worst. They have one of the worst wide receiver rooms, the offensive line, blah, 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 blah. But there's no evidence. There's no actual proof of concept that they were better at anything with Rees.
The argument I might have against him is, one's not fair. One's just that he's on this staff and the team was bad. Why? I think there's good coaches on this staff. I've said before, like, obviously, like, everybody looks at coordinators. I think Mike Bloomgren did a way better job than what anybody wants to realize with the ingredients that he was given. I think that Jason Tarver is very good. I've mentioned him before. There are some good coaches on this staff. I think because he's a coordinator on this staff, that's one thing. The other thing is, though, and this isn't fair, is that I need to know about his organization. Like, guys call plays. Tommy Rees, if he becomes a head coach, he's going to be tasked with managing the football game. And what I think a lot of guys do who are play callers, they get caught up in, because a play caller, you're supposed to get yards, you're supposed to get first downs, you're supposed to get points. That's what it's supposed to do. And it's up to a head coach to manage the football game and go, you need to take some of the gas off of this. Our defense just spent 9 minutes on the field here. We got to get them tired. We got to get them back, and we got to get going. Or we either have to make a 2-possession game, a 3-possession game. Like, there's a lot of management that has to go on. Is he going to be able to manage that, or is he just going to be calling plays? Because that's one of the things that I think that have affected a lot of guys, especially a lot of young guys, when they took over. That's what I think affected Cliff Kingsbury. That's why I have no interest in Cliff Kingsbury whatsoever. None. And plus, there was the Peter principle, him failing upward, where he goes from Texas Tech to Arizona when he didn't do that great at Texas Tech in the Big 12, for crying out loud, in a place that's known for their offense. I don't want that to happen. But I don't know Tommy Rees that well. So I don't know what his organization is, what his organization isn't. What makes it easier with Jim Schwartz or Flores or something is that I can go off other people's previous experience of them as a head coach. Like when Ryan Fitzpatrick talks about Tommy Rees, or when Ryan Fitzpatrick talks about Brian Flores, okay, that's a bit of a cautionary tale. And about how he became more insulated. It became more of a dictatorship as time went on. I think that he became less trusting of people around him. And that ended up being something that affected him. Because times are not going to start off great for him. You know that going in. Whoever's that head coach, that's going to be that way. So you have to really trust the people that you're hiring. Well, these are just things that I'm going to admit on the air. I don't know that about Tommy Rees. So I can't shoot my mouth off. I can only talk to people who know Tommy Rees, and maybe that when he goes and interviews today, it's today, right? Mm-hmm. When he goes and he interviews today, that maybe there's going to be something there that tells them that they're having the right guy. Something that he would have done differently from Kevin Stefanski organizationally. It's got to be more organized. And I thought that was one of the things that Kevin did well in 2020, that you couldn't get plays in with Freddie Kitchens. You can do barely anything with Freddie Kitchens in 2019. Kevin was definitely more organized. Now, that changed over time because I think they got more desperate. I don't know if Kevin could really handle things when you had other people talking down the line on the comms, and then I think some things would get mixed up there. I don't know if he really wanted to step on toes once he handed over play calling power, things like that. I think that those were questions that really faced Kevin Stefanski there, and what caused disorganization out there on the field. Plus, you had different people having to go in, but I think that that's one of the things that caused that. We'll ask Nathan a little bit about that coming up tomorrow morning. But when it comes to Tommy Rees, I'm just trying to be fair to the guy because I have a feeling that he has a strong chance to be the head coach of this team. And I have a feeling that if he becomes the head coach of this team, I'm going to have a sourpuss on my face the morning he takes over as head coach of the Browns. Just because I think that we're in a totally different place than the Browns are. I think the Browns believe that they are on the right track, and you and I really don't. You and I really think that there's a lot of things.
Well, it's just a lot of work.
You and I have not been this lockstep in a long time. I don't think that they are very close to being a very competitive football team right now. I think that there's several steps that they need to take that I don't know if they're trying to trade steps or skip them. I just think they think they're a lot further along than you and I do, and really what a lot of fans do. And if you bring in Tommy Rees, I can't help but say, is he the generic version of Kevin Stefanski? Even though technically he was an assistant at Notre Dame, he was a quarterback at Notre Dame, he was an assistant for Nick Saban. There's a lot of name brand stuff there with Tommy Rees, but it's just going to feel like more of the same.
All this has happened really quick. That's not a disqualifier, but it's happened very quick. And after Kevin, I think what most Browns fans are looking for is a guy that when he walks into the room, this is my show. Everybody pay attention because I'm going to talk and you guys are going to listen and follow because I'm a born leader. I don't even have to mention it. It's just I exude it. And when you look at Tommy Rees, I'm sorry, man. That's not the vibe that I get from him ever.
What's the vibe that you get?
Not that.
You get that from Jim, though.
Yeah. Oh, yes.
So then the other question becomes, what do you do with Jim if you let Tommy Rees be the head coach? Because I could see
you think he'd want to leave now because he didn't get the job?
Is he going to take orders from a 33-year-old man?
Was he taking orders from Stefanski? I don't know.
Was he just in charge of the defense?
Yeah.
I imagine that Kevin became comfortable with Jim because
how could you not?
He didn't have to worry about the defense. That was one side of the ball he didn't have to worry about. I think that's why I was surprised they didn't even move on. And I know they don't like to make changes in the season. I was surprised they really didn't move on from Bubba Ventrone halfway through the year. I know that he became annoyed with having to worry about special teams with Mike Prefer. And if he's annoyed about Mike Prefer's special teams, he had to have been annoyed during the season about Bubba Ventrone's special teams. Losing to the Jets and Titans the way that you did because of special teams.
Yeah.
I know there was a bad interception thrown, but you
when
get
your
what I'm
special teams are bad, what kind of predicament does that put your defense in?
Very bad one.
Instead of feasting, playing with a lead, and then being able to tee off.
Yes.
A huge difference.
So does Tommy Rees and this would probably be the thing that I would do if I were Tommy Rees. You got enough on your plate being 33, 34 years old as the head coach. Do you just try to retain? Now, Jim Schwartz has a contract. Do you try to retain Jim Schwartz, make sure that he's here? Because they might let Jim Schwartz out of a contract if there's a new head coach involved. That's Tommy Rees. But do you try to say, you're in charge of the defense, it's still your defense? You're the head coach of the defense. I mean, that lays out a Mike Ditka, Buddy Ryan scenario, but that was a Super Bowl team. Let's just crawl before we walk here. 216-474-0092. Paul and Canton, you're first up on the fan.
Hey, good morning, guys.
Hi, Paul.
Hey, I want to give you guys a call because, in my estimation, it's not even that Shador's would be Jamarcus Russell or Tom Brady. I think you take those resources. I don't want to bring anybody in that I have to use resources to get. And from Shador, statistics will show you anything. You don't want to just go on statistics because then you become Andrew Berry. Statistics will show you that Joe Flacco is better than Dan Marino in the playoffs. What I saw with him is that the locker room loves him. Myles Garrett loves him. He might have had, what statistics shows that there was a quarterback with a worse situation. He had a last place offensive line, wide receivers, special teams. What I saw is a guy who can take a hit and throw a strike. What I saw was an accurate dude. At least a guy that we could put out there. And what I'm trying to, when I see a team, I like the Eagles. they're top 3 in everything except one spot, the quarterback. And they're my pick to actually go to their 3rd straight Super Bowl. So I would like to have that. And if he's not good, you got the next, you have the next class, and as in Mendoza,
why? Listen, I can only tell you the truth, Paul. I think that it's frustrating where Lima brings his charts out, and all these other people have charts, and he's at the bottom of every statistical category.
By the way, and not accurate. I know we think he's accurate because he was at college.
I thought he was accurate.
He was not accurate last year with the Browns at all. He's 56%.
But you saw,
and he was throwing behind the line of scrimmage a bunch too.
But my thing is, we saw what we saw.
That's what's frustrating about it. I didn't see a guy that we need to move on from right off the rip by any means necessary.
My thing is, are you sure a rookie quarterback, given the situation where he was in rather 4th on the depth chart, not getting the first team reps, seemed to have a head coach that may be spicy on him or not? I don't know. But you sure that one of those rookies could have came in and did better? You sure one of those guys who drafting would do better, and they're worth the millions and the extra picks to not really.
I think it's easy to say now. See, I would tell you now that Paul, thank you for the call. Like, if they would have taken Jackson Dart in the 1st round, they would have given Jackson Dart a bunch of reps. It's a 1st round.
It's a 1st rounder, yeah.
That's the problem that I had with taking Dylan Gabriel in the 3rd round, is that you have a guy with a higher ceiling. We've been down that road a million times, but it's easy to say that now. But at the time, back in April, we had one call and one call only of the thousands of calls that we take a year. We had one guy who was willing to say that he called in on his own volition to say that he wanted Jackson Dart number 2 overall. Wherever that guy is, salutes to him, even though I don't think Jackson Dart is out of the woods. Like, that's where we're at. It's easy to do it in hindsight. I got to get ready for another one. And I'm not believing that Ty Simpson is worth that investment. I'm more willing to invest in the Browns right now. Dante Moore comes out, which I think he will. I don't know why the Jets would want to move on, but if you guys want to have that conversation, fine. But that makes it even more on Dante Moore. That makes it even tougher on Dante Moore, because in the back of my mind, we're going to have to invest so much more because of the trade.
I just kind of laugh, though, that the caller did slip in there, because the Shador people still, even though we can't get Mendoza now, they still are very insecure about Mendoza, because Mendoza's having just this amazing season, but his stats aren't that great.
Really good.
And it's like, well, first of all, they ran the ball in 4th quarter because they were winning all their games. Shador was throwing in every 4th quarter because he was in these shootouts. Also, Mendoza, a lot better actually running the football. I don't necessarily think he's that much faster than Shador or anything like that, but why don't you care about those stats? Like, he actually showed even more mobility than Shador, running down the field and getting first downs. So, I think it's a little flimsy argument to say Mendoza's stats weren't that good. What has he done? What has he done? Indiana has a chance to win the national championship with Mendoza as the quarterback and the Heisman Trophy winner.